Yellow flowers and Birthism. Do not use that which you are seeking to define others by an idea of who you will be when you receive what it is you seek. For if you do this, you will only discover those that have that which you can't have, and you must use judgment, for judgment is the ego to your most loving future. Yellow flowers, the ones blossoming and waiting for you. I refuse to ever let my thinking happen in a way that is inspired by someone else's discovery of what was knowledge at birth, because the love of nature is that it nurtures us in such a way that we are not responsible for holding the knowledge, it is that we are embodying it, and we are the theory to life, that is to say, alive, and our hands are free to give. The use of uniqueness is necessary when one needs to remember that all that has come to them is not an infliction, but available to be inflicted upon, because uniqueness is defined by a continuation of self. Reincarnation and religion and society and false ideologies about inspiration and motivation are telling you to be a successor, and they disguise this teaching in many forms, including success itself. To be a successor and be a successor, deny yourself your own aliveness. Be a successor. Be a successor not even to a human, but the imagined success of a human, such as a book. And because the book is such a clear instruction of this horrible attempt at someone incarnating something that is already alive, it is for the people that are suffering, and they call it help, but it is not. The very idea of letting go of your ego is to say, I deny the language crafted in such a way that it is a reminder of self, not a self, but a simple remembrance to you, and it is asked of you to take yourself away. Or is it that the teaching is for those that are beyond losing themselves, and it is to teach that even the remembering of self is not necessary now to you? And now it is so that I have met someone that from birth is nurtured entirely truthfully, that is, to be alive. I will also be correcting some little grammar mistakes here and there in this reading journey. I could dance to this as if it was a song. Well, that was how I felt after writing the previous part there. Reincarnation is simply that which is life before day and again life after death. It isn't to say that you were alive before your birth or you will be alive again after death, because reincarnation has no knowledge of you at all. It is what the eye is to a human. It is the way to remembrance for the knowledge nature has forgotten, and the very act of that is impossible for nature. It has not got memory. It is so that nature is memorous, and we are simply separating nature into forms, which are similar to that of how humans can feel in their loss of truth. And this is also done to God and religion. It is not a crime to do this when it is for celebration. It is becoming of a lie when this is done, and has been done, for it to be constructed for gain of power. Discovering one's limitations is to find how to fulfill themselves truthfully again. If a man has a chest full of copper and finds a pile of gold, he would not think twice about replacing the copper for gold. His fulfillment has come, not in that he can fit both the copper and the gold in his chest, but in letting go of the copper entirely. A spiritual practice or book only becomes spiritual. It becomes spiritual when those other than the creator of it witness it. For the Creator it was not spiritual, it was not a death, it was a sharing with oneself, their very own essence and aliveness. This is similar of how the search for enlightenment denies people of giving a sense of enlightening to others through religiousness and goodness. There has become an obsession for humans to look at the source, and this comes from insecurity. The measure of remembering self is determined by one's ability to remain the self. Those that are strong in ability for replicating others have a sense of knowing about life, about their life. And about a life isn't their aliveness, but it is attempts at becoming someone different. Not themselves in difference, but someone else different. History through many ideologies, including schooling, religion, have come to those people, given them an idea and encouragement that not only can they replicate the human, but that they can actually replicate the source of that which creates. Call it God, call it the universe, Buddha, nature, or spirit. But it is that the source is fully outward and purposed by one thing, you. It celebrates you. The soul is not alive to detain knowledge and possess, but it is to allow the aliveness, that is to say, the creatures on earth to experience its ability to witness all things different and still remain itself. When this happens, there is a doing and a wanting of gaining power, because of that which is the source, they themselves become an obstacle to the very thing that was shining on their life. And this will give a sense of power, but it is denied in truth, which is the self as its most alive. Their own natural receiving of the source for the sake of power has then made them step away from themselves. It is not even a power, it is a lessening of what life was to them, it all without making a difference to life, which could have been to give back enlightenment to the nature that devoted to the human. The closer they believe they have got to it by attempting to replicate, be it or gain from it, they have actually upset life, because it sees you are not trusting of it and have chosen a lie. All is a lie beyond the self, when there is an absence of truth and the distance is defined by one's own self. The goal is not to be honest in a reviewing of society. It is not to accumulate knowledge. It is simply to be aliveness, to be my aliveness. Much knowledge comes from people seeking justification for doing something they shouldn't be doing. War is like that. People are seeing what happens if they approach with badness, and they accumulate the knowledge they get from doing such action. And they do this again, and have lost all feeling to that which is happening in a life, became a very act of accumulating knowledge, and it has become a search for justification. And if that is not done to prevent harm, it is simply for one's own sense of aliveness. And that is dropping all the aliveness they are, because they are not using intelligence to prevent harm. It's to say, a country wishes to seek for the knowledge of what will happen if they push their border into another country. What will happen if we park a tank this close to the country? The seeking of knowledge outside of prevention of harm is a justification to the origin, which is the self in badness, and non-acceptance. It is like raising a family in a safe environment and then going into the wilderness to kill animals that are dangerous to people. It prevents nothing and gains only death and violence and taking away from a family that, too, was getting raised. As a witness, it is to me important that I won't fall into the drama in such a way that I lose sense of what is right and wrong. I will continue judgment accordingly. And with hesitation and doubt. This is the teaching of many sages and Jesus Christ. The past is the life of a human that can never become, but the past is alive and it can be seen, and that is it as a gift to you. Before recognition and before the human spine, and before you were translated into a body, that is to say, there was never a body waiting for you. It grew as you, and as a feeling of disconnection, it is mistaking the friendship in the sense of aliveness happening. And when asked, Messiah, where will you live with all of these people? There is no need for that. There is not a city, a tree, or a single place where it should not be. We will simply be earthly, and as to love we shall be, and to ourselves as all things we will not be out of place. I should write that because I didn't actually read that, I just came up with that. You changed into the aliveness that Earth translates to the universe, to allow a home, a human. The life of a human is so that the past has become a future that has passed, and when remembering, that memory belongs to time itself. It is then we understand the past is aware of what the future is. The past is aware of what the future is, and that is not to say the past knows what will happen in the future, but it is aware of a future, and all of its life belongs to ensuring yours. Beautiful. The way the past knows the future is because it was once your future, and the memory of time is so that it remembers the necessity of itself and its change. Life always has sight of the future, but not a single droplet of truth is there already in the future, other than in time itself. Just as the river enters the ocean and the waterfall enters the river and the clouds chase the echoing Bermuda that is nature's rhythm, we are here. I have an attachment that is intense and burrowed into my being, and it is I, and I have no fear for the ego, to have a sense of achievement or desire, but I will not give up on discovering that. For fear belongs to the ego, and the ego belongs not in a single desire. I was birthed with all of nature's blessings and nurtured with no reason for search, but it is within me that I make something not out of effect to nature, but in the gratitude for action. As if I am time overlapping myself, and I, the witness to this self passing by, telling myself beyond all echoes of nature there is me. I cannot yet believe that ever once will my writings be read with a love that is more alive in a feeling than I am in writing it to myself. It is a joy to know I am writing, and joy is my expression of no absence. It is fear, and there is that, because of the discovery, your discovery, of me. It is a worship truly allowed by my attempts, and the importance of sitting and writing is the proof of sacredness, and not because of the action of it, but for the patience and the forest and the beach I had laid on for many weeks. It is a desire I can crush, but it will never die, for I am stepping off a cliff, and the holding of me is built by the same affair an ember of a flame has for making a new fire. Now I am here. Birthism. Birthism. From birth alone, each is enlightened, and time does not take away. Those that are born are given by nature. It is only those that deny its nurture that gain so much. They become more than themselves. Holding of me. Where am I reading? Oh, Birthism. Those that are afraid and pursue peace from their fear become scared of themselves, and those that are afraid and continue living with fear learn they are scaring themselves, and they gain everything. The beauty of the unaccepting ones, despite the innocence in your life as trust to them, is the beauty of the rare one. Not even rare, but entirely one. They are the lover, and I am their lover. They, despite the unaccepting ones that deny us, are remaining a compassion to the world. When the madness of self turns you to a saviour, and if that saviour is not you in relationship with your passing through time, you have become a seeker, and the sadness is in that discovering someone to truly care for you is a beauty that can become true entirely. All of a sudden the path is clear, but not by moving away the obstacles, but by allowing myself to be me, shining upon them, life. Longing, looking, and never with an idea how to search and struggled to the damning of the judgments that are right. For they only bring a smile as a joy to be told as if I didn't know the sky was above me, and it's the earth I move across. Dancing between words to play with the thickness of them, as I am the embodied depth of knowledge. Who will dare themselves to come with me on this journey of theorizing? My own knowledge, that may or may not have anything to do with the reality of humanity. Do not fear your separation from all things, but allow fear into where there is togetherness, for that is the importance of communication, the soul, and trust in connection. A religion with an imagined God is not a religion, and a religion with a dead Messiah is not a religion. They are excuses for people to commit their lives to everything but religiousness, and to do it dedicated to that which is not alive makes them unaccountable to the standard set in the origin of the religion, which is goodness and religiousness. Not only are they unaccountable as such to the origin of religiousness, they themselves have become the ones that give the judgment of accountability to others, and others that have nothing to do with their religion, that is to say, the people within it. Christianity has nothing to do with Christians. Jewish people have nothing to do with Judaism. It is all to do with religionism, which is the one religion when a person chooses to quit religiousness. The ones that judge accountability to others have taken their own God's throne. Groups within society formed for goodness can be tainted by a majority hatred for something that is also good, but not originated within their separateness. I believe that the courage of separateness is to take already that which is good and oppose it with a continuation, which sees joy blossom through the giving that was society before them. Us. For if we are to live individually through the past of good people, we have become a heart to the soul which is communication. There is no reason to form the formless. For the formless is making forms. As a witness to loving humanity. I like that. If a leader speaks of a way towards a form of triumph or enlightenment to which many people admire as a reward, you have not got a bad leader. You have people listening. You have people listening to their own temptations. And adults will corrupt themselves under an influence more freely when they can transform it into a badness that is accepted by others. The badness has become blame, and what difficulty would that be amongst others tempted by bad temptation also? A mother tells their child that if you wish to set yourself on fire, then go and fall into the flames. A child is not tempted by this, but knows to choose their own priority from the mother's words, a warning. When you read or hear or think of your way to spiritual enlightenment, you have found out you are not already living that way, but what you are is a reward to humanity living already as an earthly creature should be, as to be birthed is your enlightenment entirely, and humanity in the earth is through the soul, telling everyone to feel enlightening to others and do not harm and prevent harm, and dance in my holding of your aliveness, says nature. Do not ruin yourself by seeking that which is not real. If spiritual enlightenment is real, it will be your eternity after your human form. So in this life, live it humanly. Be alive when you are alive. Be born, be you. If a religion can let itself go without replacing it, there is a continuation of religiousness. Once it is replaced, it is self there. It is no longer religion, but a forceful attempt, a disguise. There is no need to have immortal beings that cannot exist and die, or kings and messiahs that return from their death. When this happens, it is said that you do not have love for these, as you are disrespecting their birth and the origin of its creation, for the founders of religions have not given you direction or permission to do so. They say unto the world in their life, look, I am a human, individual, and I made this for goodness. This should allow you to see that you can also make goodness. I'm not against religionism. It is to me as the boundaries of countries are. They belong to the earth as the limbs of an animal belong to the heart, and entirely as one. I am celebrating the differences within one, and that is why all religions belong to religionism, and there can never be another religion. Perhaps after all knowledge it is just in being the self that inspires truth in individualism, for remembrance of a day gone is madness, and be it our own madness that proposes, at least, and to our joy, without causing harm. I would like to be able to know that this is a writer's book, but I cannot write. The greatest difficulty is action after knowing, but that difficulty defined by a human is ordinary, it is Buddha. I think I am not a writer at all, but just a poor speaker, and hence my late imprint through communication. My writing is like this, almost entirely a knowing, and then an ending, and then an expectation of a miracle. Encompassed by emptiness is a thriving atmosphere to house creativity. I am but a wanderer to the questioning of life around me. There is something to learn here. What if all imagined aliveness of a force that does not exist, and truthfully, I am to swallow any lasting effect and desire myself forward through time with an honesty that will gather the world. What does this even mean? Beyond emptiness. Beyond emptiness, I will find nothing but be there finding me in that which I am through the earth I love through. I move too freely for you to see me. Beyond emptiness. Beyond emptiness. It is not yet a teaching or a philosophy or a way of life shared for anyone, but I do have it, and I'm going to share it here with you. Theoretical embodied knowledge is my schooling, and Birthism is my religiousness, but I do not have it. But I do have it, and I am going to share it here with you. Theoretical embodied knowledge is my schooling, and Birthism is my religiousness. It is not a religion. There's only one religion, religionism. I've already dropped the importance to both of these movements that I created, but I will not deny them the knowledge that can still be shared. I probably will. Walking through horizons together. Yep, I've already gone. The greatest ability of a creature on Earth is to be able to live, and that comes from having been born. In the category of possible, there is a human that is hopeless, but discovers themselves in the most beautiful change of their life. There is a human in immense sorrow, and soon then comes to ecstatic happiness. There is a human empty in feeling, and yet is the brightest life for others. I love those people. These are all possibilities. They are not necessary, as for some rare individuals will find happiness through their happiness. And some have learnt to oppose good not with bad, but with a further goodness. This is the greatest use of memory. How do you respond to kindness and goodness? All things questionable are real, and all things real are not definitive. The only insult would be to miss out the chapter that I just missed. How do you respond to kindness and goodness? All things questionable are real. Oh, I didn't miss it out. I just forgot. The only insult is to make harm, and an aware person making harm does not exist, because an aware person excuses their harm, and they blindfold themselves and feel good within the harm they make, and then they gain intelligence and proof by blindfolding others with their harm, and the excuse has become opposing, but it is a disguise of further harmfulness. I think what I'm trying to say is to define the difference between gaining intelligence and using intelligence. I can trust an intrusive person, for they intrude themselves upon everything. All bad ideas, bad concepts do not rest on an intrusive person. They see it suspiciously and intrude themselves in a way that does not allow themselves to be hidden in the fog of lies by the bad intruder of their life. People are distracting themselves with imagined teachings of life, and this is to go against one's very own birth. Why would you distract yourself in such a way with these lies and these pretend teachings of nature? When did you decide it wasn't enough? You have insulted the flowers, the lovers, the wind, the earth entirely when you search for these teachings, you say to nature, you set me up from birth, you made a trap door and never gave me enough. Similarity, differences, separateness, and togetherness are the virtue of understanding that which is natural in your behaviors. So much mystery and mystery come together at the point of rejecting a gift from one's effort in their lives. There is so much mystery and misery around happiness, joy, and love because it is a gift to you. It says it to you, celebration, aliveness. Love is for discovery, for discovering joy in the differences as you and as everything else. Joy is for your complete separateness, and happiness is for the togetherness of all things sharing the same nurtures from nature. To be enlightened is to thrive with your own nurture, and that is immense. And to be enlightening is to be together with the earth, a flower, a person, or an animal, or to some colour, the weather, or a feeling of self let go. If you are together with such a thing and allow the soul, that is communication, if you are together and together with the soul, there is a recognizable equality that we all have a nurture within and to us. What we do with that is what karma dreams to be. It is beyond all action, beyond the self of others, creates an outward self-discovery, a true enlightening that has never need for mention. I am aware that I have outdone myself in writing this book, and therefore I am thankful to every reader, and if you have arisen questions in you regarding these sharings, and I do fear I will have no hope in answering them, because beyond simply pointing back at my own words, I will be with you as a witness and questioner to them to be further discovering. And that is what I hope for and love. On the street there are children, women and men, with no money. They do not beg, even with their hands out and sorrow in the eyes. For when they receive, they light up beautifully, and still there is no begging there. They are simply your reward. To be compassionate is the reward. No religion or teaching can teach true compassion. There is no way to it because it is simply the reward of the compassionate one. The real beggars are the ones that are already rich. They beg to be poor, but not in human need, and not in comfort, no. This is begging at its truth. They search for and pursue teachings, books, knowledge, and ways to tell them they are alive enough. They are wrong, and life is not what it could be from them. Life has become untouched by them. They torture themselves for misery and in hope of finding themselves poor amongst the richest spot in the universe, the earth. It is not enough for them still, and on the richest places on earth it is still not enough for them. Themselves. They have begged themselves to misery. They go within and make themselves falser. The way humanity has come to is that people are living tomorrow, and an extraordinary number of tomorrows today, and an extraordinary amount of yesterdays today. And not only is this extraordinary human caught in this badness, they are raised by teachers telling them this is called society, and their parents call it preparation, spiritualists call it manifestation, and I have heard people label it as motivation. There are many ways to dress it up, to put a layer over themselves. That is what is about their lives. They have become the about in their life, when life itself should be about them, and they have furthered the gap again from themselves and found the moment. Until other people's lives and ideas are living with them in their moment, they are simply what is so much around them because of their nature. They have become a home for badness and have become a moment, a making. As if to live in moments is a spiritual achievement, it is not. They now have no momentum, no future, no past, no individual, and they then break at any difference or change because they made a life out of theirs and decided what is happening is necessary and natural. but it never was happening to begin with. It is a I will make it happen to me from the self. The gracefulness is in those that are willing to not fly above the earth, but when they are doing so, release themselves off their wings and fall. We are here for you. All the attempts of their freedom are seen as something to defeat, and the feeling of accomplishment becomes encompassing until there is no human at all, and until they see someone that turns them back to themselves, we all hope they return to one, and alone as one, but joyous and happy for their love is the reward of the compassionate one. When I was reading that, I was having images of angels, how they become a human is they clip their own wings in flight and they are caught in the hands of humanity. It reminds me of a ballet performance I wrote in a cafe in an afternoon because I saw a beautiful ballet teacher in a pretty red dress. And yeah, I can feel it actually. There is an alertness one needs with words because it is so that the next 1,000 people you meet may describe to you their life and using terms such as future and past, which are correct. But the use of words that are correct does not mean the description they are as a life that is alive in their communication is alert to the nature of truth and birth. And when you meet one that after the 1,000 that does, befriend them, feel yourself around them and remember. Manifestation is a humorous trick. Why must humans do this to one another? This is to be one another. Fooling someone into believing they should not pretend they have already that which they don't to those doing it are ordering themselves into following an idea to prove to themselves a power beyond their life and in turn weaken their existence and all for a fool's proof. Admit it now, you are a creature on earth. Feel your limbs and know your nerves reach, and feel the countless sensations happening within you, as if there is a moving creature beside the moving creature. Call it communication. I'm seeking that feeling which is currently not happening. It goes on forever. Define feeling by love affair for the feeling that happens next. Okay, I did explain it on the next page. Chase your aliveness within you and shine upon the truth. Know each time your heart creates heat, your life depends on the atmosphere to allow it to do so again. Even if it's discomfort you feel it entirely and remember to. And if you forget, remember you have forgotten and feel again. I am a creature on earth, and I am moving, and the earth is my home. You are alive, and now discover love and joy in a world of feeling and fear. And know doing good means you will get more love. Be loving. Be, be someone to the world. I say it now, be someone to the world. I demand it now, be someone to the world. I am now. The writing itself has to have purpose to my life, foreshadowing dreams and carrying myself to them again in vision. And it does, and I'm happy where I am because of that. And it's a humour that purposeful as a person can be is not what I am, but purposed by creativity that bursts through me as me. It is a joy. I have not found, been given or searched for, but meaning is a feeling I am within. The deity of Birthism, to not be spoiled but enjoyed. For a long time, religion has abstracted religiousness with ways, for Birthism is your own admission, relate to, and you are the measure of. I vow one thing, and that is to never entice a chaotic joy into a description brave enough in knowledge to eventually mute itself entirely. For I am gathered in pieces of memories of the love of others, earth, nature, and you. Remember in my writing, when a question arises, the answer is an expression of love. Thank you. Your judgment is an expression of love. There are no religions, there is only one, and that is religionism, and all religions belong to it. If that can't be celebrated, then that is a happiness gone to opportunity for celebration of difference within similarity, is a great expression of maturity. Do not be frightened by memory of self, for using the words I and you and we, it is so we can explore for your love in a share of hope to do so. Speak of yourself as I, with no shame, and come. Don't fatten yourself in a muted loudness behind a giving, for this is your love. Earth, rain, dance. Move closer to love. Move closer to me. For I have made it to India, and every word of what I thought was to be given for my life to share was all but real. It was for a dream to be a future to be lived in, and I feel accomplished, but now I begin to write again what will happen. I am currently here in India. I'm very happy with myself for managing to get here. How did you end at the beginning, within a day of my life, to a flutter through as aliveness in life, and gaze new and heavens opened and sky electrified by its witnessing of you? I loved to be with the sensations of discovery, but now I am entire to a gita past, locked away and never to be spoken of again. I welcome you to a non-welcoming entity, for you are already within. Invisible she was to the world, but for me there was only one. There was only the knowledge that she has a beauty, so much so that she enlightens everyone around her to the joys of their life, as if she is the light of the moon, guiding everybody home, and home is safe and joyous. But how can one be centered by the love of others, but silent in their grace? I turn to see her, and unknown to be me, for I remember most dramatically my happiness in life, and she is there with all of my memories as I etch myself into shyness, and yet I speak more to her than I have ever to anyone. It is her listening. She has made it for blinding all that is hurtful in me, and I feel shining. A tear for love and another tear for knowing. I never once made a wish as meaningful as the thank you I have for having met her. The meaning of love is shown in your own ability to give love. It is so pleasing to me that people loved Jesus so much they would tell lies. He walked on water. He turned water to wine. It fills me with joy to know people were poetic to the stories of their lover, and there is no lie in that. Not a single lie, and just a smile. I cannot just do this as if ease was bestowed upon my greatness. Forever, eternity in Buddhism is oneness to life. It means you are born and you die, and that before your birth and after your death, the forces that are will and have continued to allow life to be birthed.